Welcome to Overtime the Podcast, a show dedicated to all things watches, with a special love for microbrands and their affordable range. I'm your host Praka, and some of you might know me as Kinda Average Watches. Join me as we explore new releases, share tips on building your collection, and put in some overtime with hands-on reviews of the latest watches. Whether you're a bit of a pro or you're just getting into the hobby, this podcast will keep you entertained with great stories from the people in the industry, casual conversations, and guest hosts who bring their own unique perspectives. Let's get started. G'day listeners. Thanks for tuning in into Overtime the Podcast, proudly sponsored by Watchpoint. All right. Now this one, it has been a while. It has been almost 2 years again. And one of our first guests, or if our very first guest to the podcast, I'm so glad to have him back on again. It is none other than Jody from JustOneMoreWatch and Erebus watches. How you going, Jody?
Hello, Praka. I'm very well. Thank you for having me back. I must have not disgraced myself too badly the first time around, even though it has taken you 2 years to invite me on again.
Yeah, sorry about that. That was yeah, it's my bad. It's been a while, but no, I'm so glad to have you back on. And yeah, like you said, it's well due a catch up.
That's good. It's good. I must have been feeling nostalgic because I got COVID this week,
No.
just like back in the old days, back in 2023. So I've been on the lozenges and my desk is covered in tissues, but it's not quite the existential threat that it was a couple of years ago. So
Yeah,
I can confirm that.
well, yeah, I mean, you look great. You don't look like you're in
Thank
your
you. Thank
deathbed.
you.
So it's good to see. And yeah, COVID testing just seems like a distant memory, but
Yeah, I
yeah,
know. I had
actually, yeah.
managed to find a couple of tests in a cupboard, because I couldn't taste my dinner on Sunday night, so I thought I'd better
Mm.
check before I headed into the Erebus headquarters and infected everybody else. And sure enough, I got those 2 lines. It could have been because the test is so far out of date that it was going to give me 2 lines anyway, but
Yeah.
it gave me the day back in my bed, so I wasn't
Yeah.
complaining too much.
No, not at all. Not at all. Recovered fully. Well, recovered enough to come on today, so I'm glad.
Absolutely.
All right. So look, before we crack on, of course, we do our wrist checks. And
Mm.
what have you got in your wrist?
Well, I'm clearly missed an opportunity to spruik my own wares today. I am not wearing an Erebus. I
Okay.
am wearing a Citizen, or should I say I am wearing the Citizen. I got my second of these Citizen Chronomasters last week, and I got to say I haven't taken it off since I got it. I I traded in the white one for the slightly newer generation black dial one for reasons best known to myself, but it's fantastic. It's
Yeah.
it's it's really good. They're such good watches. I spent the last week thinking, how can I replicate this for 10% of the cost? Because I would make millions if I could. They're stunning watches. I think the point is you can't replicate them for
Mhm.
10% of the cost. There's so much that goes into them. But
Yeah.
yeah, that is what is on my wrist today.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, for those who haven't yet seen Jody's video on the Citizen Chronomaster and your swap, I was surprised, I'll be honest, when you were like, I'm selling this, and then obviously I watched till the end and we're like, okay, it
Yeah,
makes sense. It makes
yeah.
sense. Yeah, yeah. So fantastic. Yep, I have another micro. I got the Halios Seaforth version 4 in a Uncle Seiko Jubilee.
Oh, very nice. And did you have to wait a while for that one? Because they're kind of hard to get, aren't they?
Yeah, so this was before they changed their model because they quite recently, or maybe but it's almost a year now, they changed away from the lottery system to just a pre-order window and then, you know, as
Ah,
in you have a seven
yeah,
day period, a 14-day period, you just order and whatever orders come in, they'll get fulfilled,
yeah,
which
makes
is
sense.
the way to go,
Yeah,
to
makes
be honest.
sense.
Yeah, and the lottery system was getting old, I think, and a lot of people were getting turned off by that. But I was part of that previous lottery system. And yeah, I think I've still got it. 2 years, almost 2 years now.
No,
Fantastic.
they're really good. I reviewed one a couple of years ago, and it was low key impressive all rounder. It just gets everything right,
Yep.
in a very capable package. That one. So no, nice choice.
Well said. Well said. Awesome. All right. Well, let's get into it. I have a couple of questions, but before we get into the questions, I just want to, just a bit of a catch up. It's been, like I said,
Yeah,
almost 2 years.
2 years.
And I recall when you were last on, and Justin, I think we were so excited when you name dropped or Erebus and said, "Oh yeah, so this is happening." And
Yeah.
I'm gonna still claim it. I don't know if it's quite official, but we were the first media outlet to know about the Erebus release.
You broke the story. God,
Yeah,
that seems like a long time ago now, doesn't it? 2 years ago. So yeah, it was more than a twinkle in the eye, but we were working on our first release. We released that one in October, the Origin in October 2023. So
yeah,
yeah, it's been busy. It's been fantastic. I cannot lie. Uh, I always was hoping to become a brand owner in inverted commas at some stage, and it has been great. It's been a fantastic experience. You are the kid in the chocolate factory. You can make your own sweeties.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I must say, every time I think I've seen your videos obviously promoting Erebus, but also
Yeah.
the videos of you and showing the factory tour and stuff like that you brought around. There's that smile on your face. It's I don't want to say genuine because I know you always are genuine when you're coming across in these videos, but you just seem like, yeah, I'm really enjoying this and it's great to see.
Yeah, it's been great fun, and Stephen's really enjoying the experience as well. It's a lot of work, the two of us. It's our second jobs. We've both got full time. I guess
Yeah.
my channel is definitely a business. I run it like a business, and he has his own photocopier sales and service business. So running Erebus in tandem with that has been a lot of work for the two of us over the last 18 months, 2 years. But it's been great. It's been great. We're both wondering when we can quit our day jobs and just become watch brand owners instead.
That'd,
But
that'd be that'd be the dream, hey?
that'd be the dream. I don't think it's a reality, but it's definitely the dream. I can hang on to that when I go to sleep at night.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I mean, you're not. I mean, I think it's majority of microbrands are the same way, aren't you? They have the owners would have a day job and
Yeah.
then do this as well because sustaining it by itself, you're going to need some big volume, big numbers. So
Yeah, I think initially anyway, a
yeah,
lot of guys, it is mostly guys. There's a few ladies as well,
yes,
obviously, and more so than there were a couple of years ago, perhaps. But
yep.
yeah, most guys start it in parallel with something else, and then it is the dream to, quit whatever it was you were doing that you don't enjoy as much as designing and selling your own watches. So yeah, perhaps at some stage, but what would I do without the channel?
Oh no, you can't quit
Ah,
that.
I
You
can't do
can't.
it. Exactly. I can't do it. I can't do it.
It's part of your it's part of your DNA now. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
can't
know.
do
And
it. You
that's,
can't.
hey, it's nearly 8 years since it's more than 8 years since I made my first video. And
Wow.
it's nearly 8 years since I effectively started full time doing kind of two and then three videos a week. That was the beginning of 2017. So yeah, I'm looking at that 10-year YouTube anniversary. I feel like a
Wow.
survivor. They give you a plaque for subscribers. They should really give you a plaque for grinding away.
I was gonna ask that, yeah, because you do get those plaques, don't
Yeah,
you?
yeah, you get one for 100,000, and the next one's at 1 million. So I don't think I will ever make the million, but
N
I've
never
got the
say
hundred.
never.
Never say never. I've got the 100,000 one tucked away somewhere. But yeah, 10 years. I'm going to make myself a plaque. I think for surviving full-time social media for
Mm,
10 years.
that's yeah. It's more than just the YouTube videos, isn't it? It's everything else that comes
Yeah,
around it as well. Yeah,
yeah, it definitely is. But can't complain too much. It's been fantastic. I would
yeah.
be working. I would be probably currently standing behind a bar somewhere. Nothing. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
You're
This
following
is
your
this,
passion, so
this is better. Yeah, definitely
yes,
much better.
definitely, definitely. And I wanted to mention as well, obviously, you had all this professional stuff that's happening as well, but life, family. I mean, you've
Yeah,
been busy.
yeah. It has been a busy couple of years. My wife and I bought a house together in Sydney, which is in itself no mean feat.
Well done.
In Thank you. In January last year. So I think perhaps I felt like I'd won. I was playing the game of life and I won because I managed to achieve, a house in Sydney. And then you realize that no, all you've done is achieve a 30-year mortgage on a house in Sydney. The game is far from over. In fact, the game
Mm.
has only just begun in some respects.
Yep.
But that was nice. So I've been in Sydney now for over 20 years. And if you drew my map of all the places I've lived, I think with every move, I would have got further and further away from the city centre as one is gradually priced into the suburbs and then
Mm.
the regions almost. And indeed, we found a house in the Sutherland Shire, which was a part of Sydney I had not really visited all that often before we moved here, and I love it. I've got parrots and lizards and things in my garden. I feel like I'm in
Beautiful.
Australia for the first time. In some respects, it does genuinely feel like I finally made it to Australia. So no, really
Yeah.
enjoying that. And I've got one son who has managed to survive until the age of 3 without us killing him or killing himself, although it was kind of touch and go. He was in hospital twice over the Christmas period
Oh dear.
with head injuries, self-sustained head injuries, and another one on the way. So it's looking like 2025 is going to be another big
Full on,
year.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, full on year, lots of watches and a second baby. So that's going to be, yeah, chaos.
That's amazing, amazing. Yeah, I mean, I feel you're right there, boy, dad,
Yeah, two
it's
boys as
two
well.
boys as well,
Yeah.
and yes, especially my little guy. The whole, yeah, just please don't bounce off the wall and hurt yourself. But anyway, they learn, they live and they learn.
Do they? Good.
Yeah,
Ours is still not learning
not
much.
learning. That's okay.
Not learning. He'll
I,
he'll get there.
he'll get there. He'll get there.
Good.
Awesome.
I'll take your
That's
word for it.
that's so it's very exciting. There's so much in there, and yeah, just mentioned about the whole. Getting your house in Sydney thing, like, it is such a big achievement. Perth is nowhere near as crazy where I am in terms of, getting into the housing market, although it is getting harder and harder. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's it's a bleak situation if we look at it that way.
Yeah, it's certainly not getting any easier. As I said, I've been here 2 decades, and
Mm.
all the shoulda, woulda, couldas. When you look at the cost of living here 20
Yes,
years ago, 10 years ago, and it's all property. It's the price of property.
that's it.
These real estate agents and the press driving up the price of everything for
I
their own
agree.
benefit and not for ours. So anyway,
Yep,
you know,
agreed. But yeah, good point there. But yeah, awesome. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot that's happened in
yeah,
less than 2 years, really, I
yeah, less
think.
than two
And
years. Yeah,
yeah, so no, it's fantastic. And of course, we have to mention Erebus and where that's come from, the origin, of course,
yeah,
the Origin 38, and then now we've
yep,
got the Ascent
yep. The
and the
Ascent.
and the Ascent, the whole spectrum.
The whole spectrum. Yeah, we're not quite. We're both quite ambitious. We want to kind
Mhm.
of run before we can walk. Stephen and I. We're both the same, and we've got a busy year planned. We're not quite where we were hoping to be by this stage because we're almost a quarter of the way through the year already. But
Sure.
yeah, we've still only got the two kind of nameplates, if you will, Origin and Ascent. But yeah, again, can't complain, Braga. It's been fantastic. They've both been really, really good for us. We have 4 different models being prototyped at the moment. Various delays and things. So we should have had a big boy diver launched last year, but we had to delay that one. It went back for a second round because the idea is you want a big watch to wear like a small watch. We ended up with a big watch that wore like an enormous watch. We talk about bell curves and wrist sizes and things, and I
Yeah,
think you'd have needed to be in that top 1% of
wrist
gigantic
sizes.
wrists. Yeah, yeah, it was huge. So that one
Yeah.
swiftly went back to the factory for a rework. But yeah, the Origin was great. It taught us a lot about our systems and processes. And then obviously we had to kind of pick, pack, and distribute them from the back end. And we had all kinds of issues with DHL and getting DHL to talk to Shopify, who's the sort of
Mm.
the website front end. So we learned a lot there. And then we launched the Ascent almost a year ago. It was beginning of April of 2024. That went so well. We knew when we got the prototypes in hand that it
This is
was
it.
Oh yeah, it was better than we thought. You never really know until you get your prototypes in. It was fantastic. So really, really good. So that went well. We're on our second restock of Ascents now, and we haven't got stock. We ordered
Wow.
some, over ordered, they sold out. We ordered a top up, they sold out before they even arrived. And we're now finally in a position a year after launching the model where we're expecting a tranche of watches in the next couple of weeks actually to arrive in Sydney. And that will be us. We'll be able to say, hi guys,
What
you can
stock?
have one this week.
Yeah.
You're not waiting. We never really pre-orders are fantastic. Talking about Halios, pre-orders are fantastic, but we don't want to be a brand where we have an empty website. We want it to be a brand where you can log on and
Mm.
find something that's in stock. Hopefully, we're getting to that stage. We're getting to that stage towards the middle of this year.
Yeah, great point. I think I was talking to Sergio from Lorenzo.
Yes, lovely man.
Very, very much so. And he mentioned very much the same thing. He said, "Look, I would like to have stock in place, and when people order, and I can just send it." And obviously, there's the risk, that you're
Yeah.
taking on more stock than But at the end of the day, I think now, and how well the Ascents have gone, and how the brand is going. That risk versus reward, right?
Yeah, it's how much cash flow, how much of your
Mm.
money are you prepared to put into stock? Does that impinge in other areas? Does it stop you developing new products or paying for prototypes?
Yep.
And you got to think from the customer's perspective as well. We used to ask for 100% of the price upfront, which is the micro brand model in
Mm.
some ways, but it's an incredible model when you think how many other industries can get away with that, where customers are prepared to pay 100% of the price of a product up front and wait six, sometimes even longer in some
Mm.
cases from other brands. So we went to a 50-50 system where now people only put half up front and then we send them a bill for the other half shortly before the watch arrives. We thought that was a better way to do it from everybody's perspective. So yeah, it's about trying to balance the risk and the stock levels. You don't want to have too much money sitting on shelves, not
Yeah.
going anywhere. And we as much as the Origin 41 and Ascent went really well, the Origin 38, I think we overestimated the demand for a smaller watch. So
Mm.
we got a lot of people saying, "Hey, when are you going to make a smaller one?" So we ordered a whole bunch of them, and we found this to be the case a couple of times now. Certain colors disappear. We sold out on the pink ones and the teal ones within 2 days, but some of the more basic colors just are still sitting on the shelves. So
Interesting.
yeah, we're still learning. Every release, we learn a little bit more and we refine our own processes and we try and kind of smooth things out for us and for customers. So,
Yeah.
and we're still not 2 years in, so we
Yeah,
got to
exactly. You got to give yourself some
yeah,
credit. Yeah,
a
there's
little a little bit of slack. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, there's a lot to learn, a lot to implement in such a short time. So,
yeah,
I mean, speaking of the Ascent, I mean, obviously, original release was the 39 millimeter,
yes,
and then now we've gone with a variety of sizes, right? We've gone up, we've gone down,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I mean, the thought process on that, I would normally I've seen brands, I guess, do maybe two sizes, but four
yep.
sizes. How'd you get to that?
Well, if you look at the Rolex Oyster Perpetual, they do
Mm,
it in 34, 36. They discontinue the 39 and they do a 41.
yep,
So we did exactly the same thing.
yep,
I think we got it right where they got it wrong. The 39's the arguably the best of the sizes. It's the kind of perfect size for that style of watch.
yep.
Whereas they dropped that 39 mil Oyster case like it was hot a couple of years ago for some reason. They went either bigger or smaller for all of their models. But yeah, the 39 was great. But again, we got people asking for a larger or a smaller one.
Mm,
It's a design. We got the prototypes back in again, and it works because it's a fairly simple watch. It translates really well into those different sizes. And we went somewhere that a lot of micros don't go. We went small. We went 34. You
mm.
know, again, what what you read in the watch press and what you see in the comment section, and then what you see reflected in your sales figures don't necessarily match up. There's not 100% correlation.
Correlation. Mm,
Yeah, yeah. So of those three sizes, more than half of what we sold, I think, were 41s. So
okay.
people wanted the bigger watch, not the smaller sizes.
Yep.
36 also sold reasonably well. The 34 was the the niche.
Sure.
Yeah, and
Sure.
that's all right. We're fine with that again. I think once we have stock on hand, it will be a bit easier to sell to perhaps a slightly different market to say,
Yeah.
hey, we've got these in stock. You can have them in 3 days,
Yeah.
rather than
You
you
have
you
to
got to
wait
wait
for a
three,
while.
4 months for them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, that makes
But
sense. And with I mean, the Ascent, I've got two Ascents in my local watch group here that I've had handled, and it's
ah,
fantastic. The Venturine
that's
39
great to
mil
hear. Yeah. Thank you.
is beautiful, and I can see why the bigger size sold more because
Yeah.
I feel, and this is probably across, I mean, a few brands, that sort of Garter style watches tend to be on that sweet spot, as I would say, is that 38, 39, just under 40 mil, which
Yep.
a lot of the bigger wristed guys don't. really want to get into, or they're a bit hesitant to get into.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think there's like a mental block. A
Mm.
lot of guys won't look at a sub 40. They
Yeah.
just won't look at it. And that is absolutely fine
Yeah.
because, you buy what you think suits your wrist,
Exactly.
yeah, and that's perfectly acceptable. It's a watch, the Ascent's a watch that wears slightly small anyway, we
Mm.
think. Because of the case shape, it's kind of curved, it bowls out at the edges, bezel slopes inwards. It's a relatively compact dial for the size of the watch. So in some ways, it almost wears a mil and a
Yeah.
half smaller than you might think it would. So
Totally agree.
I think the 41 was going to be the one that for guys who are just on that, wouldn't quite cope with a sub 40, that's going to be a great size for them.
Yeah, for sure. No, I completely agree. And also, the variety of the dials as well that you have, it helps to, get people into like, oh, I want to wear something that's a little bit different, but I still want to stick to the more traditional case shape. And
Yeah.
and you guys offer that.
Yeah, and that again, one of the advantages of doing a pre-order is you can order, you can offer 10 different dials
Yeah.
because then you're only ordering what people have actually ordered, purchased at the end of the day. And again, some of those ones, hot pink, I think it's a great color, and we did really well in the 39 mil in November. We did a little mini pre-order, but hot pink seems to have faded now. Maybe everybody who wanted one has got one. It was the blue mother of pearl that went crazy this time around.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, I not a color that was on my radar, but Stephen was insistent on that one because he'd seen it elsewhere, and it was the pick of the litter. It was a fantastic looking watch, and we went back and said, look, we didn't do one in 41, but we're going to do one in 41
Oh,
because,
good.
yeah, that was,
Yeah,
and
it's
we ended up
interesting.
selling more of those than anything.
It's interesting you do say that because I shared. So I had a friend who's been looking for watches and who's not really a watch guy, and I said, "Hey, here's a couple of options. Some pretty cool stuff here." And the very first one that he pointed out was the Blue Mother of Pearl. He goes, "Oh, that's a nice dial." And I said,
Yeah,
"Yeah, that is a great dial," and I think it also goes really well with the your numerals as well. I guess the applied
yeah.
numerals. I think it just yeah, it stands out enough and doesn't all blend in. I like it, really like it.
No, good, thank you. So we took this time we again we're learning every time. We've placed an order, but we've ordered a few extra little sneaky colors. Just a small batches of watches in colors that we didn't offer pre-order, and we offered a few 39. We ordered a few 39s as well, 34s. Again, just so that to try and ameliorate that 6 month lag between,
Sure.
ordering a product and it arriving in stock. So
Yeah.
come August when these arrive, come September, by the time we've distributed everything, we'll be like, hi guys, we've got 25 of these and 30 of these. We've got a few other little tricks up our sleeves as well. So
Nice, nice. That's good. And
yeah.
it's always great. It's like a surprise, right? It's like, oh, awesome. You can jump on and grab some. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes people's FOMO plays really well and stuff like that because it's like, what? You've only got 35 of these right now.
Yeah.
You can grab it. And I mean, I know people get funny about things like that, trying to use that sort of limited numbers
Yeah.
to bolster sales, but it works. That's the reason why every company does it.
Yeah, true, true. I mean, I don't think we ever want to get to the stage where we're putting numbers on
No.
watches and saying there are only X of these and there only
Yep.
ever will be. It's kind of,
Yeah. Yeah.
a bit hokey. It's not how I buy things. It's not how Stephen buys things either. So,
Good
I,
to hear.
yeah, I don't think that'll be happening. But yeah, a little. We've even brought back a couple of colors that we had discontinued of the 39s that people have been consistently asking for us. One of which I missed out. I didn't even get one for myself from the first tranche, so we had to bring it back at some stage just so I could get my own watch.
What
So
what what color was that, if you can
uh,
share it to us?
it's the Black Helix. The Black Helix
Ah,
39 was a
mm,
great looking watch, but it was outsold by the black enamel. We didn't want two black dials, so we
sure.
dropped it. But we've got a really small quantity coming in August, hopefully. So again, that'll be another little thing we can drop on the Facebook group or send out by email, and hopefully a few of the people who missed out the first time
We'll pick
around
it up.
will grab one. Yeah.
Awesome. Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. I will have to ask you, you did mention four prototypes, and
Yes.
can you share what these prototypes might be or the
Yeah.
styles of the watches?
Yeah, definitely. We've got the big boy diver that didn't work.
Yep.
It's coming back. It's a 44 mil, 500 meters, coated, hardness coated, a few different dial materials that we haven't used, a few minerals we haven't used before. It looks like a kind of Origin on steroids. You can see the family resemblance between
Mm.
the Origin and this one. That one is called the Titan. So that's the one, the brand, the name I can reveal. Titan makes
Yeah, of
sense, doesn't
course.
it?
It
Right.
has to be.
Big boy diver. So that one, that'll hopefully be the next release. If these prototypes are what we want this time around, hopefully they will be. That will be coming out in April or May. I think that'll be another pre-order.
Nice.
Then what else? We're doing an Ascent GMT.
Okay.
Yeah, we could have gone two ways with that one. Either the fixed bezel, like the Explorer 2,
Hmm.
or GMT numerals on the dial and kind of keep the original look.
Okay.
And I'm not going to tell you which way we went, but we've got prototypes of that coming in. Look, I think GMTs were 20 very GMTs are very 2022. You know,
Yeah.
everybody's got several now, so it's not going to be a huge watch. We'll probably just order a small quantity of those and then drop them rather than do a pre-order for those.
Fair enough. Yep. Small
But
batch.
yeah, nice watch, small batch, new colors, a new case size as well. We've gone 40 mil for this one, so
But yeah. Okay.
yeah, it's splitting the difference. We just wanted to give it its own identity. It is an Ascent, but it's to try and give it its own thing as well.
Yeah.
Oh, we got five watches prototyping. I
Oh,
forgot about one. I forgot one. We've got Ascent Quartz coming as well.
cool.
Oh,
Okay. There you go. Now we're talking.
no, no, really? Okay, good. I mean, yeah, I'm wearing a quartz on my wrist today, so I got to big up the single tickers. This one has been a year in the making because we were very specific about the movements we wanted. They took 6 months. We had to buy the movements up front. They took 6 months to arrive at the factory, and then we
Wow.
had to get prototypes, and then, there's a bit of back and forth about battery capacities and so on. So hopefully the prototypes will be coming soon, but I think we're just going to order them because it's a small quantity.
Yeah.
We're just going to order them again. Niche. There's not
Yes.
everybody appreciates it, but I think people who do appreciate will grab one of these. We're going to price them lower than the autos, and it's the best quartz movement that we could find, the biggest battery we could find as well. So we're just trying to you buy quartz. We decided not to go for the four tick quartz, the VH31 that looks like a mechanical,
Yep.
because we figure that people buy quartz, they're okay with the tech, they're okay with a
Exactly.
single tick,
Yeah.
they're buying it for accuracy and longevity, durability. So that's what we've prioritized. We found an ETA that's a really good quality movement.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, it's good. I think it's you were just talking about Citizen. You were just talking about how you'd like to offer something that's
Yeah,
and
yeah.
obviously there's like you mentioned as well, it's not really possible with that big, gulf of the price difference. But having that feeling, in a very similar, I guess, Garda style is great. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one personally as well. I think I wear my Origin GMT. I've got one of the Coke bezel Origin GMTs that I wear a
Yes.
lot. I think the Ascent hack will also take up a fair bit of wrist time when I
Yeah.
get my hands on one of those. And
Fantastic.
then we've got two quite different watches. We're tinkering around with a micro rotor at the moment,
Okay.
using
Dressy
the
piece.
yeah dressier piece. Yeah, again, sort of different direction, something we haven't done. Again, trying to maximize the designs. So we've come up with two different dial designs for the same case. One very traditional, one more colorful, a bit more contemporary. So that one is being prototyped. We're prototyping that. The original, the Origin, we got three different factories to have a go at it, and we picked the best one. We felt that again it's time to have a look around, so to
Mm,
make sure that we're getting the absolute best we can.
sure.
So we've taken that design out to a couple of different factories. So
Nice.
it'll be interesting to see. They're all due in May, I think. So we did like it's like the Pepsi challenge where you blindfold yourself and we did that with the Origin prototypes when they arrived. The three, and we had the big chart and
Yeah.
dial texture and hand and quality and all of that. So we'll do the same again and go in the direction that we decide is
It's
best.
good. When you, sorry, just to want to cut in there,
Yeah,
when you do that process of like, okay, here's all the prototypes that have come in from
yeah,
three, four different factories.
great fun.
Is it just yourself and Stephen, or do
Yeah,
you have other people in as well?
just the two of us because
Good.
ultimately, it's it's
It's
it's up to
your
us, isn't it?
direction. Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
it's up to us. And
Very good.
we compared scorecards with the Origins, and we were within a couple of percent of each other. There was a unanimous winner. Number two and number three were okay, but number one was where we had to go. So that's the factory we've used since then. And the last watch, God, this one started cooking just after the Origin. I was scrolling through Instagram as you do, and I saw an advert for a watch. It was being sold by a used watch dealer, vintage watch dealer, and they had a video of it as part of the sale. And I'd never seen a complication like this before. And I immediately sent it to Stephen, and I took a screen recording of it that I've still got somewhere on my phone. I was like, we need to do this. Hasn't been done in, I think, 40, 50 years.
Wow.
And we immediately got in touch with the factory and said, hey guys, we want to do this. Because, we haven't really gone too far, pushed the envelope too far with the design so far. We've kind of played it fairly safe, get the company moving, get some sales, get ourselves established. But we wanted to have a bit of fun with this one. So we paid our factory a fee, and they got another factory to start developing a module for us, a custom module to sit on top of a Miyota. The people they engaged couldn't do it, so we got our money back and then found another factory who could do it. Various conditions. They had to order a batch of movements in, a big batch of movements, and they put minimum order quantities on us and so on. But we're we were told March. This is yeah.
End of
This this
March.
is this is late March, by the way. So yeah, they haven't quite got the prototype movements yet, but the design is ready. Really, it's about the complication, this one, but it's about
Yeah.
having a bit of fun, and hopefully it'll mark a bit of evolution, a bit of progress for us as a brand. 2 years in, and we're playing with modules. We're having a bit more ambition, a bit more adventure with the
Yeah.
designs as well.
If you're into microbrand and independent watches, which you clearly are as you're listening to this podcast, you got to check out Watchpoint. Watchpoint is the newest destination in Melbourne, Australia for microbrand and independent watches. But it's more than just a brick and mortar store. It's a hub for watch enthusiasts. Come check out brands such as HZ, Bazel, Second Hour, RZE, and Monbray, and other exciting watches you won't find anywhere else. Watchpoint is also your go-to website for buying said watches, exploring microbrand profiles, discovering new releases, and staying informed with editorials, industry insights, and buying guides. So if you're keen on trying out your favorite microbrand watches, drop into Shop 304, Level 3, The Block Arcade on Collins Street, or visit watchpoint.com.au or check them out on Instagram at watchpoint.au for more. I think it's a great way to do it. I mean, you look at brands like, Baltic or Serica, just two that's come off the top of my head. They've
Yeah,
started off very much with the divers and the garter styled, and then
yeah,
it became, oh, let's try the Serica Parade or the Baltics with I guess they're more dressier pieces, but they're doing, collaborations and doing different things. And I think
yeah.
it's you need to start off with your base. If you can get your base covered and then move to the more what you guys want to experiment and try with, I think it's a great way of doing it.
Yeah, and this is it. I mean, this is the fabulous thing. You can see something and say, "Well, I want to do that," and then you do it. You,
Do
you
it.
just do it. You pay a bit of money here and there, and you got to cross your fingers and hope that it resonates with buyers,
Mm,
and other people will be as fascinated by this complication as I was when I saw it. But yeah, it's quite exciting, but it's been a long and slow process. So
sure,
this
sure.
this one, yeah, should have been it should have been the big watch for this quarter, last quarter, the quarter before that, probably next quarter, if we can get it. Because obviously, once the movements get prototyped, they have to make the cases and the dials and hands and so on. And this is one that we want to test thoroughly before
Mm,
we want to make sure that we're not confronted by hundreds of
any issues or
returns. And
something.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
So we've got to make sure it's going to be a big watch for us. It's probably going to be the next, you know, big standout watch
sure.
release for us. So
Yeah.
we want to make sure we get it right. So
Yeah, I think in
hopefully,
terms of timing, I know you would wanted to. It kind of makes sense. I feel like. I mean, actually, I would. One of my questions later is about trends and how
yeah,
things are going and what's exciting. And I feel like that's happening across the industry. Like people are trying to find different complications and more dressier style out of micros now. I mean, because why not, right? Like you said, that you can push the envelope and
Yeah,
do different things.
very, very different market. I think the micro market to when I started my channel in 2017, you dive watches, everybody was into dive watches. And I
Yep.
think that quickly got saturated and everybody moved on to Gada watches or dress watches or chronographs or whatever. And you look at brands that have done really well over the years, like Baltic that you just mentioned, it's because they have a particular style about them. It's because they've gone for that neo-vintage stuff and they've continued to plow that narrow furrow, but
Mm.
they've done it really well.
Yep.
So yeah, it'll be fun to see a brand look emerge. Hopefully, people will be able to look at a watch in a couple of years' time and go, "Oh yeah, that's an Erebus,"
Yeah.
because it there's a design continuity. Perhaps not in the way that they look at a Dorenzo and say, "Oh,
Sure.
it's a Dorenzo," because
Mm.
of the continuity that Sergio has managed there. But yeah, we hope in our own way that they'll be identifiable.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I'm sure we'll get there, and that's huge. Five prototypes, lots
Yeah,
coming. I'm
lots coming. Yeah.
excited, very excited, and yeah, I would love to know more about the complications, but I'm sure you that's all hush hush until it comes out. So we'll leave it at there.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't want to say too much in case it's another 12 months and somebody gazumps us, somebody has
Yes.
the same idea and gets in before us. So no,
Yep.
I'm sure if it goes well, you'll see other people do it because
Mm.
that's how it is.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
That's the industry. Awesome. Cool. Yeah. Thanks for getting into Erebus, and I really
that was
appreciate
great.
that. And that's so many exciting things to come, and already so many things that have happened. And you've mentioned I guess the trajectory of the brand as well, and where you want to continue to grow and build that brand. Yeah, how do you say the brand identity? So it's good to
Yeah,
see.
definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, I've got a couple of other questions here for you. This could be just sort of discussions or whatever we want to add it on. I thought we'll just, add it in as a bit of a, after chatting about the Erebus. And this sort of follows on from the last bit about complications, about dressier pieces. So
Yeah.
what current watch trend is exciting you? And on the flip side, what isn't exciting you too
But
much?
isn't yeah, I I've seen a few high quality quartz getting a bit more acceptance because quartz is such a dirty word. I don't know. The watch industry has obviously quite deliberately cultivated it so that everybody wants automatic watches, and you end up with a collection full of automatic watches, none of which are currently working when you look into your watch box. And it, it's good to see micro brands. There was a Pitzman released towards the end of last year that featured a good quality Swiss high accuracy quartz movement, and I think you'll see more and more micros dipping their toes in those waters over the next while, which is obviously good to see. Colors, colors is something that I think has been driven by the affordable and the small
Yeah,
independent brands rather than the big brands these days. The color trends used to filter down from the top. We saw that with the Tiffany rollers
Tiffany.
and Nautilus from a couple of years ago. But I think you look at the number of purples and oranges and red dial watches, it's the micros that are starting that trend, and then the big boys copy thereafter. So
Yeah.
I think maybe they're taking the smaller brands. Some of the big brands are taking the smaller brands more seriously than
Yeah.
perhaps they used to.
Yeah, I think you have to. I mean, now you're in the industry and, of making these watches. There's a lot of people that are buying these over the big brands and for good reason. You're getting, I don't have to parrot it onto you. It's like preaching to
Yeah,
the choir. You
yeah.
know yourself. I mean, the value for money, the ingenuity, I guess you get in them, just can't be beaten.
Yeah, I'm making a video at the moment looking at sort of collections,
Mm,
putting together a five-piece collection on a price.
okay.
And I did a five-piece big brand for $2,000 and a five-piece microbrand for $2,000. And the microbrand's far more interesting. It's just, whatever you want, you can have it
Yep.
in the form of a microbrand, whereas the big brands have to play it a bit safer. And
Mm,
you look at these you look at the big Japanese companies and their product development lead times are like glacial. They're like tankers in the
mhm.
ocean, just taking so long to change direction. If you look at Casio a couple of years ago when they had that huge hit of the Casio Oak it took them forever to come out with a solar version and a metal version. It took like years. Whereas a small brand, if it, if it lands on something, they can turn something around in 3, 4 months, 6 months, and have a follow up or something else on the market to capitalize on that. You look at Studio Underdog as an example
Mm.
of, you land on a nerve, wow, and then bang, they're huge now, and they have a massive product range and all these different colors and fruits and pineapples and slices of ham and whatever, because that's what people want. So, and
Yep.
they can do it, and they can do it really, really quickly. So
Yep.
that kind of agility, I think, is really exciting from small brands. You just don't see with the big ones.
Definitely. And the stories attached to it as well, right? I
Yeah,
mean, it's like,
yeah,
say, hey, I'm picking up this Erebus. It's Jody's watch.
yeah.
Jody,
That's yeah,
Jody's done it. Oh, cool.
yeah,
Oh, yeah. It's having that connection to that. I mean, it could be anything, You could
yes,
be like, I love watermelon, so I'm going to get to underdog. Or I love ham and pineapple pizza, and I'm going to get
yeah. I love a pizza, and I want to wear one on my wrist every
exactly.
day,
Yeah,
or at least occasionally. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. You can now. You can do
No, you can do.
thanks to the micro brand watch world.
Okay, very good. Okay, so that's all the stuff that's exciting you.
Exciting, yeah.
What's not so much exciting you?
I think I found it's getting harder for small new micros to get a foothold.
Hmm.
I'm seeing projects that would have done really well, or I thought would have done really well, not doing as well as I think they should have done, because we're getting to a point of saturation that wasn't the case, 6, 7, 8 years ago. You could launch anything
Hmm.
at that time and make a go of it. Whereas now I think the market's much more selective. So in some ways that's good.
Hmm.
If the consumers aren't just buying, that they're maybe more mature as collectors themselves, and they're not just sort of buying their first or second watches. They're looking for color, they're looking for a particular niche, but it is getting harder for brands to get established.
Yeah,
Much harder than it was anyway.
interesting. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I haven't really dabbled into much of the Kickstarter and stuff like that because I think I noticed a lot more. Yeah, I've probably read it in some of the forums as well, League of Microbrands and such. You do see
Yeah,
people trying to, share stuff and look at things. And nothing wrong with them. They look fine. But yeah,
yeah,
I know what you mean. Just the acceptance of it
yeah.
is less.
I
Yeah.
I looked at one by an Italian brand. It was get a good quality. It was under $150. Nice
Yeah.
sort of retro looking three-hander, and it was his fourth attempt at getting a watch off the ground. He
Wow.
did it. He got as successful. Campaign was funded, but not not a huge amount of funding. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it is getting harder. I think there was a point where everybody with a kind of a dream and a few $1,000s was able to launch a micro, whereas now it's just not the case. It's a
Mm.
much more serious undertaking if you
Yep.
want to do it seriously.
Sure. Understood. Okay, cool. All right. Well, I mean, I guess I'll add in, chime in a little bit there as well. I like very similar to you. I like the colors, but maybe not so much the colors, but I like all the stone, the different materials as
Okay.
such.
Yeah.
There will be a point where it's going to be that's too much. We're putting stone dials on. I don't know, on everything, then it
Yeah.
becomes a bit overused. But I do like it on the dressier pieces. It reminds me a lot of the vintage Piagets and those kind of vintage
Yes.
style stuff. That's
Yeah.
vintage Cartiers. Lapis. I'm seeing lapis styles and all these different Tiger's Eye like you guys have doing for
Yeah.
the Ascent. I personally like it because at the end of the day, as much as a lot of us don't want to admit it, it's a piece of jewelry on your wrist. Sometimes you want it to look a little fancy, and
Yeah, and I think as consumers, perhaps sometimes we want an excuse. We want something, whether it's a color or a style we haven't already seen before.
yeah,
And a mineral dials is a great way to do that.
yeah.
Which is why I think the Blue Mother of Pearl was so big for us this time around. The Titan, the big boy diver, there
Mm.
was one mineral. I even bought a lump of it, and I got it shipped to Stephen's office. I bought a lump of it on eBay and got it shipped. Obsidian, which is a volcanic rock. It's
Mm.
lava, right? Now, is there a cooler substance in the world? Is there a cooler name for a substance than obsidian, right?
No,
And
not at all.
you can't have like an Erebus Titan obsidian dial. I can hear the voiceover guy having a field day with it, right? So
Sounds
it's
like a
this.
transformer.
It is pretty much, pretty much. Would he be a good one or he'd be a baddie? He'd definitely be a Decepticon. He'd be one of the bad guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Megatron's
Yeah,
right-hand
yeah,
man, I
yeah.
think.
For
Yeah.
sure, for sure. So I bought this lump of volcanic rock. It's lava that is spat out of a volcano and turns to glass before it cools down sufficiently and turns to glass before it hits the ground and makes this beautiful black glass.
Hmm.
So there will be an obsidian dial. We got the prototypes. You could barely notice it, but the story's so cool, we have to do it.
You
So
have to. You have
yeah, we
to.
have to. So we got this black dial that will look pretty much like any other black dial watch you've ever seen, but there's such a cool story behind it and
Mm.
a cool label behind it. So yeah, I see what you're going. Some of the mineral stuff is a lot of fun. How long it will last, you don't know. It's one of these.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be like bronze watches. Again, bronze watches were
Mm.
everywhere a couple of years ago. People were clamoring to release something in bronze, and nowadays you barely see it.
No, yeah, you
Yeah,
do. Yeah, and I never really caught on with the bronze thing. I just never touched it. And
never
to be
touched it.
honest, I don't. Yeah, don't doesn't really interest me too much. But yes, I love to hear about obsidian dials. I used to have a piece of obsidian
Oh
sitting
yeah,
here actually
yeah.
on my
You
desk.
know, Praka, you're the target market.
Exactly.
You're primed for this one. Okay,
Maybe not the Titan
maybe not the
size
big
though.
boy.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
But the dial, yes. So yeah, that's probably I that's my sort of exciting trend. And maybe adding on to that as well, I think I'm appreciating the odd shaped cases
Oh
coming
yes,
up
yeah,
from, you got the Anoma, Toledo, and Chan. I've seen stuff like smaller micros, Grandeur, Strange. I actually saw one the other day on Instagram I think it's called Nectar Watches, which is maybe not as well executed as it could have. But I think with that this is sort of my exciting, but also not so exciting bit. I feel like it's exciting that the fact that brands are experimenting and doing these type of things.
yeah,
But what doesn't excite me too much is that it doesn't really add a lot of value to the overall aesthetic of the watch or how the watch is
yeah.
used. Do you know what I'm
I,
saying? Yeah.
I know what you're saying. I've seen again. I'm part of all the same Facebook groups that you are, I suspect. And
Yeah.
you see some guys with their proudly showing off their new designs. I never pass comment. Whether
Mm.
it's a positive or negative, I just keep my mouth shut. But yeah, I comment in my head.
It,
Sometimes out loud, but I never
it
write it down.
it's good for your
And
business. Yeah.
yeah, definitely, or not bad for the business, and whichever way. But
Mm.
some of them you're thinking, oh, it's just for the sake of it. You've melted a case and said, "Oh yeah, let's do that," but it doesn't add anything. It's not pretty. It's not an aesthetically pleasing design. There's no, oh no. So
Mm.
yeah, some of those yes, but some of them I'm not really into.
Yep. No, I'm yeah, completely with you there.
Yeah,
And it's also interesting to see how and what watch takes off and what doesn't,
yeah,
even though there might be one or two that look pretty much very similar, but then one seems to get picked up by the major publications, I guess. And, like
yes,
for,
that's
for
it. And
Toledo and Chan, for example, I mean, it's very much people might crucify me with this. I'm pretty sure it's an old Rolex reference that is the Midas, the Rolex
okay,
Midas. I think that's what the inspiration is. Don't, yeah. Yes, it is actually. Yep. So it's very similar, I would say, in terms of the case shape, at least. That seems to be like a darling of the
yes,
watch world.
yes,
Everyone's like, this is fantastic, it's a great thing. And don't get me wrong, it looks great. But
yes.
is it necessarily that much better than another odd shaped case like
Yeah.
just from the top of my head? I don't think so.
But
Yeah.
of course, Braca, you can pay to be a darling. You
Mm.
can, if you want exposure in the type of places that
Mm.
provide you with that kind of validation, then yeah, you can do that. And
That's true.
you've seen that with brands, that release things that you're like, well, I've seen this before, but for some reason it becomes the zeitgeist because the tastemakers, yeah, the
Shape it
tastemakers
up.
promote it. So yeah,
Mm.
exactly. So yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough,
So
fair enough.
yeah. Well, there you go. That's my 2 cents of that trend stuff.
Interesting.
I guess my next question is really probably Similar vein, what micro brands? I mean, obviously your brand, of course, but aside
Apart
from
from
you,
my own, of course. Apart from my
apart
own,
from-
of course. Yeah.
what are you looking at and going, yeah, that's very interesting. I like what you guys doing.
Yeah, I got an email from a Singaporean micro the other day called Ubiq, and I actually looked at their launch model 12 months ago, and it's, silently was being referenced for one of these watches that I thought would do a lot better than it actually did.
Mm.
Lovely piece of design, interesting use of color, but maybe it was a little bit too far out there for their first watch. So they've come up with a second watch, and I'm going to have a chat with the brand owner later on this week and hopefully get a hold of that. But
Mm.
yeah, it's nice to see quite often it is people who are designers themselves who do the whole process that are coming out with the most interesting stuff
Yeah.
these days. Not necessarily the stuff that sells in big volumes, but the stuff that is just a little bit different and I haven't seen before.
Yeah, that's the new titanium sort of field watch, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I've
So I'll
seen them.
definitely have a look at that. So yeah, again, it's fun to see where a brand goes after their first model. If the first model gets off the ground, it's interesting to see where they go from there, what their second, the sophomore release is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you're right, and that's where they can really. I mean, maybe I'm simplifying it too much, but that's where almost making or breaking the
Yeah,
brand, isn't it? Like, yes,
yeah.
you, yeah,
If your second watch doesn't do very well, chances are there's not going to be a third watch. So it'll be interesting to see that. And I
mm,
also saw that RZE, well-established Singaporean micro,
yes.
they launched a digital watch.
I saw that. That's
Yes.
it was
Now,
on one of my lists actually to talk about.
yeah. That's I normally Travis, the brand owner, used to email me to review stuff, but it must have slipped his mind to email me recently. Anyway, I think I'm going to buy one actually. They're
Yeah.
they're 169 on a elastic band, elastic strap, and I was like, I fancy that. I like digital watches, but you know, difficult for micros to get into digitals because there aren't these off-the-shelf modules like,
Mm,
it's not like Seiko NH35s or Miyota 8000 and 9000s where you can buy them by the million and design your own watch around it.
yeah.
You're going to have to go even further and custom spec a module if you want
Yeah.
to start doing that. So anyway, I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see a few other brands venture in that direction. Kind of natural fit for RZE to come up with
Utilitarian
yeah,
type of.
exactly. They've always specialized in titanium, so that was nice to see. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting. I don't know whether it's done huge numbers, but
Mm.
I thought it was great to see from a brand, a well-established brand now, going in a slightly different direction.
Yeah, I loved because they did a series of videos where they were dropping it off a certain
Yeah, I saw
height.
that. So yeah.
I
Very, very G-Shock. Yeah,
very
which
G-Shock. Yeah, it
they know what they
works.
know what they're up against. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. No, I think and it's a good way, I think, yeah, to get into the that kind of space. So
yeah,
cool.
good.
Cool. Yeah, I mean I probably already spoke about these guys, I guess, from what I'm vibing with. It's a Japanese guy in Finland.
Okay,
So it's called Ando
all
design.
right. I'm gonna have to hit the Google for this one because
Yep.
I haven't heard of that once. Never mind three times. Ando design.
Correct. So I think I mentioned it, I'm going to say about 4 or 5 episodes ago in a new release episode. So they're not a big brand. They're quite small, but they're very design forward brand. Not sure whether you can see it yet.
Is that a watch that is supposed to look like a turntable?
Correct. That's exactly what it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an old vinyl record, Philips, blah blah blah. If
Yes.
if you actually go into their website, it talks about, how you got to the inspiration, what did he actually do to get it there, and
Yep.
it's a full list of, this is my prototype. He's actually got a photo of the prototype, and
Yep.
then he's got, here's what I tried to do. Hands didn't work, so I changed it
Wow.
to this. It, I really appreciate that because there's not often where you can read someone's brand page. You go, this is where you started from, this is where you ended up.
Yeah, this is how I did it from, conception to
Yeah.
reality. No, there you go. So have you placed an order for a turntable watch, Praka?
I
Not quite
have
yet.
not. I have
Not
not.
yet.
No, not yet. Might be a step too far for me in terms of what I would slap on my wrist. But I do like what they're doing. I feel like it's just another, like you said, micro brands can do these type of things. They
Well,
can, yeah.
my mouth is agape. I'm looking at this and My mouth is wide open. My jaw has dropped to the floor. So the movement and the vinyl record are part of the same the same thing. That's amazing. Okay,
Mm.
interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
I understand why you're interested in these guys. Very
yeah,
cool.
yeah. So, and I think, and I just want to see what's next,
Yeah.
basically. Like, can they top this, or maybe not? Maybe they're just going to keep doing. But and the cool
Hey.
thing is, it's not just they're not just we're the vinyl record
Yeah.
watch people. You look at all their watches, it's all very
Yeah.
different. Some looks, I don't know how you even call it. Yeah, some
Yeah.
looks like the old Seiko Gregario design
Yeah, I
type
saw that. Yeah. And
ones.
if you're combining Japanese and, Nordic Scandinavian design sensibilities, you have my interest.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's got to be worth it, worth paying attention to.
Gotta be worth it. So, yep. Anyway, I would name drop them.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all right. Look, I have a couple more here, but I noticed that
Okay.
we've been chatting away for a while. So we'll just keep cracking on until you say, you know what, that's enough for today, and we'll wrap it up. But I'll skip this one because I think we won't talk about that. I'll talk into this because I think this is I would love to hear your views on this. It could be anecdotal, but when I'm in the CBD, I'm starting to see a lot more big brands pop up back on the high street,
Yeah.
so to speak. Feel like, especially Perth, there was a couple of the sort of Watches Switzerland, Hardy Brothers, or those kind of boutiques that held different brands. But now I'm seeing brands open up their own boutiques, let more so, and those
Yeah.
other guys losing all this distribution stuff. What do you think this does for the space that I guess we're more focused on, which is the micro brands and the affordables? So do you think that it's a positive thing that these brands are opening up? Does that mean that the market wants more watches in general, and that's why
I,
we're getting
I think more watches on the high street is only really a good thing
there?
for everybody. And you can understand why brands do it. I remember speaking to a Swiss brand that told me that the retailers had a 50% markup. So
Mm.
if they sold a watch to a retailer for 2,000, it would be a 399, 3,999 RRP. So you can understand why they would want to cut out the jewelers,
Mm.
if you will, the watch retailers and sell them themselves. Uh, yeah, I don't think there'd be a huge trickle down effect into the micro scene. I know that there is a sort of slow move to put micros into retail outlets, which I
Mm.
know is something you want to talk about as well today.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah,
Which is obviously, I mean, we're seeing Time and Tide probably one of the first to sort of do that.
yeah,
And, they've opened up obviously they got their Melbourne showroom, they've got their London showroom, which is
yes,
huge. To be in London on a literal high street is massive.
yeah, huge, huge for them. I've been to the Melbourne showroom. It's really nice.
Mm.
It's a great place to hang out. They do a lot of their promotional filming there as well. So there's a studio section. So
Nice.
there's lots of sort of cameras and rigs and watches and guys doing little, making little promo videos there. So it's nice. It's a working space as well as a great place to come and look at their selection of brands.
Mm.
And I know that you're sponsored by
Watchpoint.
WatchPoint. Yeah, as a neat segue there. So tell me about WatchPoint, Praka. Tell me about
Yeah,
them.
I will. So Watchpoint is sorry, I'm having a laugh there. But yeah, Watchpoint is a very much like a showroom for
Hmm.
affordable and microbrand watches.
Yes.
And it is based in Melbourne as well, and I'm pretty sure on the same street as where all the other watch shops are, Collins
Yes,
Street.
Collins Street, which is Watch Central. It's just like, yeah,
Yeah,
watch heaven in
e-
Melbourne.
exactly. And you have your, we spoke about IZE, we spoke about, I don't know the other, but Baozell and HZ watches and
Yeah.
Second Hour and a lot of Australian brands in there as well.
Yeah.
So this wasn't meant to be like a spruiking their brand, but I am super interested in that because
Yeah.
turning the question around a little bit, I mean,
Me
yes,
too. I'm interested in WatchPoint. I think you may well
yeah,
be seeing some Erebus watches in there for their big launch on the 12th of April.
there you go. There
There you
you
go.
go.
Yeah.
Hot off the press.
Hot off the press. Yeah, this is an exclusive.
I love it. I love it. So, I mean, and it's awesome. It's fantastic that
Yeah.
people can try it on. And one of the things that I always encounter when I speak to friends that aren't necessarily watch people, and when I tell them, "Hey, you should check out this watch and check out this watch," and they go,
Yeah.
"Cool. Where can I try it on?" And then I say, "Well, you can't." But here it is, and you can sort of get the idea of the sizes, and I think if you're in that, once you accept it, like we have, you're fine with it because you know your dimensions that wear properly and everything else. But
Yes.
having it in the middle really does change it.
Yeah, definitely. And even at these watch fairs, I've been to a couple of watch fairs as Erebus now, and some people need to see the watches and try on the watches before they
Mm.
commit. Perfectly understandable because I'm sure you, like me, have, we kissed a few frogs.
Yeah.
It comes with the territory. You buy something, you think it's going to work, you think it's going to wear nicely, or you think you're going to like it, and you don't, and you end up selling it and taking a hit on it. So
Hmm.
definitely having retail outlets is a good thing. And I think Watchpoint's a little different from Time and
Yep.
Tide.
Yep.
Started by Matt, who is a
Hmm.
brand owner,
Yep.
makes total sense for him to have a retail outlet for his own brand.
Exactly.
And while he's at it, he might as well bring along a few friends. So it's kind of nice, kind of bottom up driven. It's not somebody saying, right, who can I make money off of? Who
Yep.
can I sell their products and take my commission from them? Or I think Matt's doing it from a different basis. And
Definitely.
I think it's going to be great to have a kind of collective. It's almost like a kind of
It
socialist
is.
collective of micro brands. Very, very Melburnian,
It
They,
is. It
they love
is.
all of that over there. It wouldn't, it
Yeah.
wouldn't, it wouldn't wash in Sydney. We don't care. We don't,
No.
just bright lights over here. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. We've been in touch with Matt. It's hard to get Stephen and I together in the one place at the one time to
Sure.
long enough to make a decision. But I had a chat with Matt on the phone earlier on this
Yep.
week about it, and yeah, we'll
You're
definitely
on.
we're on board for that for sure. Yeah,
Awesome. That's
be great.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, really nice to be able to say to people, hey, if you're in Melbourne, you're floating around the city, come and look at some of these other brands that perhaps you haven't experienced before. You don't have to buy them. It'd be
Yeah.
nice if you did, but you don't have to buy them. But just go up and have a look, get hands on with some of the brands, hear the stories and behind each one, and yeah, I think again you see this with some micros that's their eventual aim. You look at Baltic again,
Mm.
that's popped up a couple of times today. They now have the showrooms. They're kind of one room salons, I think, but they have display facilities in London, New York, and Paris.
Mm.
So I think they've
Yep.
broken the glass ceiling has been shattered by the likes of Baltic. They've moved up and beyond the kind of micro space.
For sure.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's not necessarily where we are aiming. I think we are probably going to look for a warehouse type facility
Mm.
for Erebus at some point in the future. Whether that has a retail element or not, I'm not sure. But yeah, it'd be great to have watch point and places like that on board where people
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
can have a look at the watches.
For sure, for sure. And yeah, and I'll go back to what you said about Matt being the person he is, such a gentleman.
Yeah, yeah,
Having I guess the passion,
yeah.
there's the passion element of it. It's not just a, here I am as a big company, we're starting up and get you all on board. It's like, no, look, we're doing the same thing. We're also a micro brand.
Yeah.
Let's get on board. Let's support each other. So
No,
it's
very, very
fantastic.
impressive. He's an impressive guy, Matt.
Yeah.
I've bought and paid for his two watches releases so far,
Yeah.
which is, I don't like putting my hand in my pocket. I'm Scottish apart from anything else, but I did. I put my hand in my pocket for both of his releases. So yeah, I'm a fan of his. So it'd be good to see what you can do with this over the next, 12, 24, 36 months.
That's it. That's it. Yeah,
Yeah,
more to come. More to come.
yeah,
And well, moving on from that, we talked about Time and Tide. We talked about Watch
yeah.
Point. Now I want to talk about, I guess the elephant in the room, which is when are you coming to Perth?
When I come to Perth,
Yeah,
I, I,
you were in
I
Brisbane when you were doing
yeah,
the Time and Tide pop up,
yeah.
and you
That was
mentioned to my mate that you were
that.
coming. So
Yeah,
waiting for you.
that was great. Time and Tide sort of kindly invited us to share the space with them that they had in Sydney. They did their first pop-up outside of Melbourne in Sydney in the QT Hotel, which was a lot of fun actually. So Stephen and I did that one for a couple of days. It was good. And then I went up to Brisbane. I've got relatives up there, so it was easy for me to pop up and do the same thing in Brisbane at their Brisbane pop-up. And again, they must have forgotten to send me the email. They haven't done their Perth pop up yet, have they? I think
No, not yet.
there's yeah, so much going on. They were talking about doing it in February, but yes, if it happens and we get the call from Luke, then that would be great. It'd be great to come over in Perth, especially for me because it's the kind of two things for me. There's people who've been slogging through my video output for years now. it's nice to say thank you. It's nice to meet people in person and to say
Yeah.
thanks for the support that way. And also, obviously, it's nice when people have taken interest in Erebus. So
Yeah.
if Time and Tide comes to Perth and they allow me to join them, then I've only been to Perth twice actually. I've been to Perth a couple of
Oh,
times, but it'd be nice. I haven't been back, God, in nearly 10 years, more than 10 years.
yeah.
So it'd
It's
be good to come back.
probably mostly the same, to
Probably
be
the
honest.
same.
There's not much has probably changed in 10 years. No, I'm joking. Compared to Sydney, though, but which is a bigger metropolis than Perth,
Yeah,
definitely.
Sydney has changed a bit, but no, it would be good. So if Time and Tide do that one again, if they do it in Perth, then yeah, I'll be over. Again, that's a fantastic opportunity for watch nerds to gather in
Yep.
one place, and they bring a range of watches. And again, I can't speak highly enough about the Time and Tide guys.
Mm.
Real professionals, enthusiasts. Good guys who know what they're
Yep.
talking about, know their products, and love what they do. So.
Yep.
They were really good fun. I feel like their dad though, because they're all much younger than me. But I feel like maybe their uncle. Maybe I'm their uncle.
Yeah, say that, say that,
Trying to
Uncle.
be trying to be the cool uncle. But no,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's it's good fun to hang out with those guys as well.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. All right, well, I'm hoping that will happen soon,
Yeah,
for my own selfish sake as well, to come and catch up and have a beer.
no, definitely, Braga. Line that one up.
Done. Sounds good. All right, look, we've come to the end of, I guess, the question section, and we've probably went over time on what we had allocated. So, what I won't only if you have something. We always do the something interesting section. Do you have anything interesting you'd like to share that we haven't already shared today?
Anything interesting? Oh, I'm sitting in a room full of watches, so surely I can find something interesting. Here, one that I've reviewed this week.
Mm,
I love Casios, right? I love
yes.
Casio watches. And there's a company, I think, again, they're Singaporean. There seems to be a real kind of watch hub called SKX Mod, who
Okay.
clearly started out making mod parts for SKX,
Fair
but
enough.
rather cunningly pivoted their business a few years ago when they stopped making the SKX. And they now do these mod kits for Casios. And they turn these, it's like superpowers for your Casio. It makes them spectacular. And I've got one in for review, and I'm doing some giveaways on that this week.
Awesome.
It's fantastic. Casio re-released this watch from the 80s, but they 2020'd it. They just sucked the life out of it, released it in these bland colors, took all the fun out of it. And this company have just created a kit that just adds all the fun back into it.
Nice.
And you look at it and you think, all right, you buy the original watch, you buy the kit, you build it yourself, but what you actually get is substantial, is high quality, and is actually still not that expensive. So there
Nice.
you go. Not a paid advert, but if you like Casio watches and are frustrated with how flimsy some of them are, check out these SKX mod kits because I love them. I think they're really, really good.
Yeah, I'll always, as I do, I'll add the links to the show notes so
Yeah.
you can go check it out. Yeah, I haven't had experience with those kind of kits myself, but a local watch collector, my mate, he's done a mod as well. But I think, from bits and pieces he bought from AliExpress. So
Ah, yeah, okay.
but I think it's cool to have, something that comes as a modular type thing where you can actually, take all that guessing out as well, and
These
probably.
are easy. Yeah, these are,
Nice.
four screws and do it
Oh wow.
yourself. Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
not hard at all. But no, really, really impressive. I get a bit jaded when, there's endless watches coming over my desk in a good way, of course, but occasionally I see something I'm like, wow, they got that so right. The big brand got it wrong.
Mm.
My video title is The Best Casio of the Year is not a Casio, because these guys got it right, whereas Casio didn't quite get it right. So
Yeah.
I guess
Nice.
that's my something interesting, if that was interesting.
Very good. No, that is
No,
definitely very
no.
interesting. Very interesting. I'll write it down here. Well, okay, I'll go into my something interesting. Nothing watch related. I thought I would spruik a
Ooh,
book that I'm
ooh.
reading, which is called A Theory of Everyone. Look, I don't read a lot of books, to be fair. Do a lot of reading in my day job and get exhausted reading on the computer screen too much. So I don't really get, and if I am reading, I'm reading stuff about watches. So I thought to myself, this year, 2025, I'm gonna read books. I'm gonna pick up a book and read it. And I've been going to the library with my son more often, and I think I probably spoke about this in the previous podcast. So anyway, This book is called Theory of Everyone by Michael Muthukrishna, and it's basically like a blueprint for a better future. I know it sounds very airy fairy and stuff, but it's cool. I think he's a physicist. He's an economist, and he's multiple different things that he's involved in, and he's basically tried to pull it all together to try and make a bit of a, you know, I don't know how to really, I'm doing a poor job at explaining this, but basically it's talking about how humans, we need energy. We've got all these culture, the shared beliefs and everything else. How do we put all that together to where we are now and, where we want to be in the future, how we can improve and with everything that's going on around the world right now. So it's a great read. I'm only like a quarter way
Okay.
through it and I'm really enjoying it. So anyway, I'll chuck it in the show notes for anyone that would like to read a book which is a bit different about, not about watches.
Yeah, something well worth spruiking in that case. If it's spreading positivity, because we
Exactly.
could definitely do with a bit of that, a bit
That's
more of that in the world right now.
that's exactly that's why I picked it up. I was like, yeah, blueprint for a better
This'll do.
future.
This'll
Sounds
do.
good.
This is
This will
my
do.
cup of tea.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for joining
Praka,
today.
it has been an absolute pleasure. I suspect we could have gone on for quite a bit longer as well, down various rabbit holes, but
Yeah.
we probably got to crack on. I do have a pregnant wife in the house who will
Yes.
who will have found something else to complain about over the intervening period that I've been out here in my shed talking to you. So
Yeah.
I better go and see what she's up to.
That's it. That's it. No, you better. Yes, smart man. Get on that. So, all right. Well, again, thank you so much for joining,
Pleasure.
and we'll do this again
Yeah,
soon.
hopefully in a couple of years. That'd be nice to see you again.
No, no, no. We'll definitely shorten
Sooner than
that
that.
period
Okay.
sooner or later. All
Okay.
right. Well, there's nothing else. We'll leave it right there. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to Overtime the podcast. I hope you enjoyed the episode. You can find us on our Instagram at Overtime the Podcast, at Kinda Average Watches, or flick me an email on overtimethepod@gmail.com. I appreciate your support and value your feedback. If you have any questions, suggestions, or topics that you would like the podcast to cover in the future, please hit us up. Until next time.